I'm here to, introduce you to the tour that we have in the other room, right? And set the precedent. Okay, so, I mean, we've all been hearing digital revolution and everything. And I expect everyone here to at least have some idea of what digital is. Because I'm sure as I'm looking around the room, I see everybody here, or in fact, everybody here should have a smartphone. That's some evidence of digital. So when we bring this to the corporate world, right, a survey done by Gartner Group says digital is moving to the core of business strategy, right? So when we come to the boardroom, it's no longer the traditional CEO, CFO, CIO, type of designations that we have. We're starting to hear things like Chief Digital Officer, right? Or from a line of business perspective, we're having innovation departments, and we have like even digital natives as a position in enterprises as at today. So digital is moving to the core of business strategy. And there's so much advance in technology that there's so much information from a data point of view that is out there. And another study from Gartner Group says by 2020, right? And 2020 is not far, it's just next year, right? That information will be used to reinvent, digitalize, or eliminate 80% of business processes as we know it today, and products from an earlier decade, right? So we've heard, even from the panel discussions, we've heard things around business process efficiency and so on, right? And how to guarantee that is, because if you depend on people, if you depend on people to enforce policies and processes the way the organization from a board and CXO point of view, right, expects things to run, human beings, you can't depend on them to follow the process how you want it. And the only way to ensure that people follow your processes the way you want it, in line with the policies that you have defined, you need to enforce that using technology. Right? And technology has advanced in such a way that they're saying the traditional business processes as we know them, like maybe acknowledging vendor invoice or paying a vendor or something, right? So there's some processes that are repetitive and kind of redundant. It's very repetitive, right? So acknowledging a vendor invoice, posting in the system is something you just do. It's just like somebody working in a post office and all they do is to stamp envelopes and pass it on the other table. So it's repetitive, right? And what we've seen over the years with technology is that we are trying to make these processes more efficient and automate those processes. So what we're saying is, from a digital transformation point of view, we're now moving to a concept that is known as intelligent enterprise, right? Where technology can even take over some of these repetitive processes for you. So all those processes that don't need people to think too much about how to do those processes, you can train the system through machine learning, right? Augmented reality, all those artificial intelligence things, the buzzwords that we hear today. We can leverage those advances in technology and make it relevant for business. So things like matching invoice, acknowledging vendor invoice, all those things can be fully automated, right? So that we can free up people to focus on more higher level thinking tasks, more cognitive things, so that they can add towards how we can better the business that we're in, as opposed to running this repetitive thing. So if you look at the diagram we have here, you see how this has transformed over time, right? Repetitive tasks, as the years go by, they are becoming more and more automated, right? And now a lot can be done by the system so that you can have your people thinking from a strategy point of view. Okay? So, I mean, the reality that we're faced with is that the digital revolution is here. It's here with us, even in Ghana, in West Africa, everywhere. So the question I have for you CEOs in the room is, how do you respond? Because the world is changing, right? So how do you respond? And our answer to this is that you need to respond quickly, right? And another survey as well this one's done by KPMG, where they took a sample of CEOs and they asked, and they found that 74%, right? So 3 in 4 CEOs say their company is striving to be the disruptor in its sector. We were here and we had GTB talk about them becoming a platform and no longer a bank, right? They're having so much competition from fintechs, right? They mentioned mobile money as an example. So they are moving away from traditional banking to how they can become a platform where you can do anything, even e-commerce, buy anything, right? So again, another survey says 65% of CEOs consider disruption to be an opportunity, not a threat for their organization, right? So, I mean, the only thing constant in life is change. Earlier yesterday in the keynotes, we saw some examples around how, if you take a sample of, say, Fortune 100 companies from 10 years ago, right? It will be surprising to still find anybody that was top 5 10 years ago to still be there, right? Because recently, the technology companies have taken over. So companies like Apple, Google, Alibaba, all those ones are the ones. So all that companies like Shell, Chevron, all those big ones, they are further way down, right? So disruption is an opportunity, it's not a threat. We're having more digital natives that understands these modern trends. We also have the older workforce, and the dynamics in the workplace now is how do you manage both generation of people, right? So you need to find the right mix for all of this. Okay, so from what, just to explain or give you an idea of where we see the issue is with the way we've seen many companies run, their businesses today. So we say most organizations today are unprepared for digital with traditional approach to IT. So first we hear, how do we improve efficiency, business process efficiency, right? And correctly, the way to do that is to implement an ERP solution, automate the core of your business. So procure to pay, order to cash, or record to report from a finance point of view, or hire to retire, not hire to fire. People don't like hearing fire, but all those processes are the baseline, right? So run the business by putting in an ERP. But what we see is that most organizations, right, when they think of ERP, they think costs, and they probably go for cheapest and so on solutions. So you find some people implement something strictly for finance, and somewhere along the line, they implement something again for procurement, right? And then maybe something else for enterprise asset management or inventory management and so on, and try to integrate all of this together. And the problem is that you then end up having multiple ERP or product systems or CRM systems that you're using to manage your customers and so on. So first, mode 1, run the business by automating your base processes. And what happens is that all these process systems does have an underlying database that it uses to store your data. And then what do you get? Because there are different systems, you have fragmented and redundant data in there, which is complex. And then you're trying to integrate to make everything work together, and it's slow and it's costly to maintain, right? And then, of course, you're automating your process, you're running it, you have some data, but from a board level point of view, you need insight, right? But what happens when you have this kind of setup? From an insight point of view, you put a business intelligence solution on top. But again, the problem is that you are looking at your business, you're looking at what has happened yesterday, right? So because before the data is ready and you prepare and start reporting, you're reporting on a lot of what has happened. So there's a review kind of approach to BI, right? So reporting and analytics support some tactical decision making. Yes, you can use it to make some decisions, right? But it's not real time. You can't predict future or simulate stuff, right? Again, with the buzz of digital transformation, even though you're running this way, right? And you hear digital transformation, I need to transform my business, change is the only constant, change or die and everything. So you start making some efforts in terms of differentiating your business from a transformation point of view. But the problem with that, again, is that there's no consistent strategy to that transformation. You know, all over the organization, people are hearing transformation, but there's no real result to show for it, right? Because of the way you're going about it. Now, the problem with this picture, right? We'll see some of the problems. So from a process automation point of view, you see, this arrangement makes you inefficient. There's a lot of unproductivity. The whole process from a governance point of view is poorly governed and so on. From a BI point of view, there's lack of visibility because all the data is coming from different sources. There's no unified data for you to have a complete view of your business, right? So things in red are some of the problems that are wrong with approaching IT in this way. Now, the whole idea why we're here today is to tell you there's hope, there's a way out of this, right? So the thing is, so how do you transform? And we as SAP, what we're bringing you, right, is the right way to do this. So we're bringing a strategic direction to this digital transformation thing. So if you look at the different, so mode 1, mode 2, mode 1 is around how you run your business, right? So you need a system that can accommodate everything you can ever do from a process point of view, and at the same time provides you a lot of flexibility to choose what you want to do now and what you would like to do tomorrow, right? So you're not going big bang on everything. If managing your people is most important to you, you can start with transforming your HR, right? Or if you're a big spender from a business point of view and you need to manage your supplier relationship and spend management better, you can start from your sourcing and spend management aspect, right? And from the back office type of operations like record keeping and all of that, you can decide to do that first as well. So we're providing a robust system that cuts across all the lines of business, from customer experience management to spend, to supply chain, the ERP core, and everything. So you have a robust system that affords you the flexibility to choose what you need at the moment in terms of priority. Again, having all of these systems, right, even though you can deploy them as at when you need them from a priority point of view, there's a common database platform underneath that is based on real-time processing. You can bring in structured and unstructured data. So a robust database platform underneath that is already in a unified manner. So the whole idea is that you need to embrace data. You need to embrace any data that has to do with your business, whether it's structured data coming from your normal operations, from record keeping, procure to pay, sales, order to cash, whatever, right? But there's also the unstructured data aspects to this, right? Because like we heard when, forgotten who was saying about quality, the manufacturing of pipes, and why the company brand matters, right? And now the social media is out there. If somebody wants to hurt your company, they can go to the social media, Twitter, and start tweeting anything, right? Maybe a bad experience they had with you and things like that can easily go viral, right? So how do you also manage that and bring that back into how you manage your system, your business? So from a customer experience point of view, we're saying, how do you do all of this, even manage from social media to the structured data you have and everything? So a unified data platform. Now, from an analytics point of view, it's also important to have an analytics, advanced analytics platform across board that allows you to see what has happened, what is happening now in real time, and what can happen in the future from a predictive analytics point of view, right? So all the different buzzwords like Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of that, how do we bring all of that into a solution and make it viable for our business? So we are starting to embed intelligent technologies into our solution so that it can allow you to check what might be not just what has happened, right? And from an innovation point of view, how do you innovate if you want to break new boundaries into different industries? Because the times are changing where, like the instance, I'll go back to the GTB instance, where traditionally you say they are in the financial services industry and they're a bank. They want to change that narrative to say you can even call them an IT company or a fintech, financial technology company going forward, because they want to enter that, fintech space, provide a platform for anything you want to do, right? And also provide financing as well. So they don't want to be known as a bank. So the barrier between, different industries is changing, right? So you can be in manufacturing today, and in tomorrow, you can be a services company. Today, the Mercedes-Benz people, today they are selling Mercedes-Benz to people one-off. Tomorrow, it might become a service, right? He mentioned something around Uber. I mean, the business model tomorrow could be, if I need to use a G-Wagon tomorrow, right, I'll just rent it for tomorrow, 24 hours. And I'll go and pose all around Accra and East Legon. They think I have a G-Wagon. So business models are changing, and that way they might even be able to, get more profitability, like you were saying, right? Because they might get more money from renting that kind of service as opposed to, spending. Because people don't like capital spending, especially people in this room. Right? So if it's an OPEX kind of thing, it's more appealing for people as well. So those are changing. So what we're providing is a strategic direction to how you go about digital transformation and making your business more profitable. And in line with that, when you talk about technology, people get concerned around how do we even set this up, right? It doesn't mean I need to start hiring people, have an IT department that has 100 or 200 people or something, right? So even we as solution providers have realized that, and we also understand that it takes skill, again, to set this up by yourself. Even when you have set it up by yourself, you need to do a lot to keep the lights on, right? So even change is affecting us, which is why most of our services are moving to the cloud. So that headache of having to set this up, having to stay awake to make sure that the lights are on, this is still running, right? We're taking that away from you by providing this also as a service in our own data centers, right? So that you are not an IT company unless you want to be, right? So you can focus on your strategic objectives, which is running your business the way you know. You're running your business, you're not an IT company. All the things you need to do to make sure the servers are running, all of that, you don't have that headache, right? So we provide a lot of all these functionalities or solutions in the cloud so that you can subscribe and pay as you go, right? So OPEX, not CAPEX. All right, so in terms of achieving all of this, the way our solutions are structured, we have something called the Intelligent Enterprise Framework. So we have a framework that governs everything we provide from a solutioning point of view, right? So that anything you want to do as a business, today, now, tomorrow, anything at all, even if you want to change industry, provide a different kind of service, right? The framework that you're looking at allows you to do that and provides the requisite flexibility for you to do that, right? So we have solutions across all the different lines of business. So how you manage your customer experience, so how you acquire and retain customers, right? If you're in manufacturing, right, everything you need to manufacture or collaborate with your raw material suppliers and all of that, right? Because in all of this new buzz around technology, I think the thing that stands out that is most relevant looking at this framework is from a hyper-connectivity point of view, right? So now we need to connect to our customers more than ever before. We need to connect more to our vendors, right? And we need to connect to our employees, right? Even if we're in manufacturing where we have a shop floor full of machinery, we need to connect to those machines to know how they're faring, because once they break down, it means your business has stalled. right? So technology has gotten to that point where you can connect to anything, right? So that you can run your business better. And in that manner, this framework that you're looking at allows you to connect to your customers through whatever channel. So omni-channel, whatever, mobile, social media, they don't need to come to your premise to either buy service or do anything. From their mobile phone through an e-commerce platform, they can order crude oil, for instance, right? Or lay a complaint, or if you ship something, they can acknowledge receipt of, the goods that you've shipped, so that you can recognize revenue, which IFRS demands from you, things like that. So you need to stay connected to your customers, right? From a supply chain point of view, if you are in manufacturing, you don't need to buy a lot of raw materials to stock to make sure that you meet your order demands or anything. You need a robust system that will make sure that you have just-in-time manufacturing, so that you don't spend so much money buying raw materials to keep in stock, right? So it's possible to connect to these suppliers so that they know once your inventory level reaches a certain threshold, they replenish so that you can, keep running lean and cost effectively. So all that is possible. From what we call a digital core point of view is to manage the regular back office. So everything from record accounting, procurement, sales, everything, the typical ERP as you know it, sits within the digital core. And from a people engagement point of view, we saw Shifiwa earlier when he presented the SAP SuccessFactors solution. It allows you to connect to your people, your employees better, right? And then from a network and spend management, that's how you, again, connect to your suppliers. So if you're looking for something, you can source that. There's also something like a business commerce platform called the SAP Ariba Network. So if you want to buy something as a company, you don't know who to source from, and in the network, there's something called Ariba Discovery that can allow you to go there, similar to an Alibaba or Amazon or eBay for business, right? So you do your sourcing, the collaboration between contracting and all of that. When you order something, if the vendor ships, they'll send you a shipping notification through the network. You know it's left their end. You know when it's getting to you. You can issue your purchase order through that network. They can submit their invoice through that network. So you put rules to make sure that the invoice complies in terms of what you need for it to comply. So that there's no error for you to send back invoice, and that delays the whole payment term and day sales outstanding type of arrangement. So the network provides that collaboration, how you connect to your suppliers as well. So all of that solution, right, we cater for everything you would ever want to do from a process point of view. Now, if you look under, like I said, there's a digital platform that makes sure that the data that comes from all of this sits in one place and is unified, and then you can do a lot with that data, right? So I'll give an example. We all have banks we bank with, right? We deposit money, we withdraw money. People pay us, or those of us that work for, I know a lot of us are CEOs, for instance, but those of us that work and earn salaries, for instance, there are different periods in the year where maybe they pay us our bonuses, right? So the banks, they don't know this, they just know money comes in and all of that, right? But they do have all this data. Or a point in the year where you pay your rent, or you pay school fees, or you pay for an airline for holiday during summer or something, right? So they have all this data because you're transacting through their bank. But what do they do with this? They don't literally do nothing with this, right? But they have all that data. But with things like advanced analytics and deep insights, artificial intelligence, you can take all that data and try to make sense of that data, right? To say, every match or something, there's a big chunk of money that is paid to this account. What is it for, right? So that big money comes in. So you can start, and at the same time, around that period, he does pay for airline or hotel or somewhere. So maybe he goes on vacation around the same time. So what if we have a product that's around financing holidays, So maybe this is the right time of even proactively pushing some marketing thing to him through social media to say, affordable holidays, get something, So proactively, he's thinking of holiday, and if he gets that from his bank, the likelihood that he would engage his bank for that to help plan that holiday is very high, because he will know, oh, this bank, knows me. Or I'm with you, you have my email address. I use the same email address to open my Facebook account, to open my Twitter account, right? And I'm thinking of mortgage to buy a house. And I'm Googling, how much does houses cost in East Legon all the time, So with solutions like this from a customer experience point of view, the bank can know that my digital footprint on social media, because in my profile, they have my email, which links it to my Facebook and all of that, right? And most of us, when we browse, we say, accept cookies. You just say accept and be browsing. That cookie means you're dropping crumbs of your footprint. So businesses behind can use that to know, okay, you're thinking of mortgage, and then they start pushing adverts. We offer mortgages around East Legon that might be affordable. So you wonder, how do they know? Most likely you will engage them to know more. So things like that is what we're talking about, leveraging what we have available today from an intelligent technologies point of view. So we as SAP are making sure that we embed intelligent technologies across board in all of our solutions. And we're working tirelessly to work out use cases, right, that are relevant for business. Okay? So from an innovation point of view, we also provide an innovation platform called SAP Cloud Platform that your digital natives can use that to build anything, maybe extend processes within the solutions you have, or build apps for mobile, or build an e-commerce platform for something else. So all the innovative things they can do that using the SAP Cloud Platform. So the Intelligent Enterprise Framework provides all what you need to be successful, as a business. And this is like the governance around everything we provide from a solution point of view. So with that, we would like to invite you over to the other room so that you can see how some of these things work, some of these are solutions that we have. So with that, I'd like to, say a big thank you for at least coming back after the launch. It's quite impressive. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So, Chibuzo, just hold on a second. Sorry, before you go. Does anyone have any question on something you may have touched on? Maybe you just want a bit more information. Questions, comments? Is it applicable? Is it not? Is it realistic? Is it not? Is it futuristic? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Personally, I think you should have engaged your audience to find out exactly their expectations and how you can tailor-make something for them. But, well, you do that another time. Ladies and gentlemen, how about another round of applause for them? Our technology partners. 2 days, and ladies and gentlemen, it's been an immersive experience. We've gained so much knowledge, and I believe, like the great writer said, a mind once stretched by a new idea can never regain its original dimensions. We shall leave this place equipped to do more for the futuristic economy. It now falls to the convener of this summit, my good friend and yours, Ernest de Graaf Ejiri, to render the closing remarks prior to the final keynote address of Mr. Yofi Grant. A round of applause for Ernest.
Good evening to you all. Firstly, I want to thank you all very much. Firstly, I want to thank you all very much for being part of the 4th Ghana CEO Summit. First edition, 2nd edition, 3rd edition, and now the 4th edition. The focus has been that we have a big experience, but not to be a pressure group in the governance of our nation. The experience has been good. Soon, we are transitioning to the point where we want to make impacts in the life of the citizenry by engaging government. The 5th edition promises to be greater than we've had. We will continue to pay a lot of attention to topics in regards to technology and the future. I want to thank you for coming. The learning does not stop. Let us continue in wherever we find ourselves to learn, relate to our peers. And with this, I think we'll come back greatly for the 5th edition of the Ghana CEO Summit. Before I say thank you, I want to invite the CEO of Ghana Investment Promotion Center, who have been our partners for the 3rd edition and then the 4th edition. But I cannot go without thanking all the sponsors, platinum sponsors, gold sponsors, exhibitors, and our 2 major partners, Olam and SAP. Next year, SAP Innovation Day may not be a day like this, but it may be fused into the entire CEO Summit from the first day to the second day. I want to thank you all very much whilst I invite Chief Yofi to give the closing remarks. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Ernest. And I think, first of all, I would like to say congratulations to you for sustaining this effort. It's a very laudable effort, and indeed, it represents the driving force of an economy in growth. The CEOs are the front runners of the businesses they run that brings about economic growth and growth of their businesses. And I must say that the theme for this year of a futuristic company is apt. And equally apt was that the last presentation was by SAP. But I also need to confess that Africa is a little late in the game in adopting all these mechanisms that ensure that your bottom line grows accordingly. And indeed, as the world embraces Industry 4.0, a lot of what has been discussed here are the issues that are cropping up, the problems that need to be solved, but the learning that needs to be had. Not only the learning, but the actual execution of some of these things. And I've seen it in many other places, and I will give an anecdotal story. I was in China a couple of months back, and I happened to go to the Huawei Center, what they call the Huawei Innovation Center. And indeed, I just told my host that, show me something to blow my mind. And he just laughed and said, no, we can't show you what to blow your mind, because we don't want to lose you, we want to keep you here. And I said, no, show me something. I mean, why is this an innovation center? After 3 minutes, they just didn't only blow my mind, but they took me out of the world. And I asked that, so is this somebody's idea? He says, no, this is actually what we do. And I'm not surprised they are the leading force in today's 5G technology in the mobile space. But what impressed me about it was I'd been going to China for 25 years. It took me to the first time I went to Beijing. And of course, by then, the propaganda effect had taken place. And the kind of people I thought I was going to see in China were, small men in the same clothes, all over the place. But I got there and it was a different story. I saw curiosity. They wanted to know what I was doing there, why I was there. They wanted to know about black people. They wanted to know about the rest of the world. And so recently, as I went to China and I went through this short experience, which blew my mind, it took me back then. I was wondering, so what was it that took them from where they were then to where they are now? And I guess that's the sort of inspiration that has brought about the past 2 days. And 2 or 3 of the participants said to me that, wow, they've been surprised that the conversations that have been had, the panels, have held them spellbound for 2 days. And I'm surprised that there are still some people sitting in the room. But it just tells me that the curiosity is there, the hunger is there to move things beyond where they are. It's the knowledge that we now seek, but not just the knowledge, but the practice of it. And it's possible. I just posted on Facebook that after 7 years of trying to get a driver's license from DVLA and not getting it, I went there about 2 weeks ago. And all it took was 27 minutes, and I had my license in my hand. I actually held on to it like it was dear life. But what didn't occur to me that through innovation, through disruption, through technology, all the 7 years I wasted was compressed into 27 minutes. And as a corporate, that is what we need to be thinking about. So all the processes that we do, all the engagements that we do, how can we make them more efficient? How can we make them more effective? And I guess that's the lesson I'm taking away from here, and I'm sure many of you are taking many lessons away from here. Fortunately, I now work for government. The first time I've worked in government after what I'll say is an illustrious history in private sector. And I'm getting to see more and more how a country can change and how it can transform. But I'm clearly understanding that that impetus and driving force is what we've seen in this room. It's not necessarily government. It's the people with the ideas, the energy, the drive, the commitment, and the focus to change things that will change the country. And I dare say that the private sector can't change the way this country is governed. It can change it with disruption, innovation, and as my friend from SAP said, disruption is an opportunity. It's also a challenge for us. And it's good when you can turn a challenge into an opportunity because you can bring results. But the more critical aspect of it is Ghana, over the past 2-3 years, has charted a new path and has become one of the fastest growing economies in the world. That just cannot happen isolated from Industry 4.0. There have been arguments here. Some say we don't have the capacity, we don't have what it takes. Some say that it's right here, we are not just using it in the right way. So I think that all the questions, the necessary questions have been asked. And the solutions are right here in the room. I recently got some wisdom which I thought was very elusive. I was talking to a young friend of mine, very young, and when I mean young, 14, 15. And I was telling him about critical thinking, and I said, well, think out of the box. Think out of the box and you find your solution. So he went away, came back 3 minutes later, he says, no, you're wrong. That's why. He says, how can you think out of the box when the problem is in the box? That is where you have to be. And I was totally smitten because I realized that he was right. And so every time you hear people say, well, you've got to think out of the box. Well, the problem is in the box. That's where you've got to be. And I've seen that the problems we have is right here, this box, and the solution is right here. We have all the capacity we need. We have all the, what should I say, well, maybe I'll just take out the capacity we need. Now what we need is execution. And that execution, as the Vice President said yesterday and many others on the panel said, is about mindset. I bet that some corporates are going to go ahead because they were here, they listened, they understood, and changed their mindset about how they can be more efficient, more productive, and more profitable. Some will remain business as usual, and they will come back and sit in the same room and listen and go back as business as usual. But the few who will be inspired will lead the way and will contribute to the growth of this country. And I'm very happy that I was here, and I'm happy to say we partnered the CEO network, and we will do the same next year. We'll encourage you to pay attention to what happened here. Not just as sitting here, but actually when you go back, question yourselves. Are you doing the best that you can? Can technology elevate you beyond where it is? In government, that question is being asked every day. And as the Vice President said, every day we are looking at solutions. And I'm happy that it's become topical for government. There's a digitalization plan and a strategy being put together. And I hope all of you will be able to exhaustively rip it apart and put it back together as it contributes to your bottom line. Because at the end of the day, that's what's important and that's what's necessary. So I'd like to say thank you very much for staying the course and for being here. I think that there's been so much knowledge shared in this room that it would be a pity if we didn't all take it back into our companies and percolate it down to the people who are there, because that's how we can inspire and grow. So thank you very much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you again next year. Next year, we'll be hitting the agri sector, I believe, which is equally important. And I believe that there's a lot of technology going to agriculture, even in Ghana. And so we will try and blend all these things together, and we hope that you stay the course once again and humbly seek your participation in the events that will carry us all forward. So thank you very much, and have a good afternoon.
Now I invite you, together with our convener, and ladies and gentlemen, everybody, let's come up for one group photograph, where we will officially declare the 4th edition of the Ghana CU Summit duly closed. Everybody, please, come around for one group photograph.